explain this project's gone down from 67 turbines in Grant County proposed to 18. This is a map right here. You can see these right here are all that we have. Part of the application process was all about the money. And it was commented on that night, Bobby Bolin, it's all about the money. I'm here about the money. Mr. Mock has made several comments about it. Mark Letty about the economic development. And they came in here and they made these promises. And now we're down to 18 turbines for 67. Where's the revenue off of that? They said they deferred the 100 megawatts. At the, and this is frustrating because we have to watch Minnesota dockets to know what's going on in our own state. But in Minnesota here, on August 30th, 2019, there's a letter from Xcel, who is buying the power and has a contract. And it says that in the petition, we wish to discuss the potential reduction in size of the company's Crown Ridge Wind project due to the recent assignment and significant transmission upgrade costs. When they were in here talking about the money, and the residents of this county were hearing that, and thinking there's going to be money in for that new school, and everybody's going at that, they didn't say, well, if the interconnection fee is too much, we're not going to do it. They didn't have all these, well, maybes. They were going to do it, and we were going to make a lot of money here. I have another document that says here, December 20th, Xcel submitted amendments to the Crown Ridge Wind 1 Power Purchase Agreement and the Crown Ridge Wind 2 Power Purchase Agreement. Specifically, the Power Purchase Agreement has been amended to reflect the reduction in Crown Ridge Wind 1 from 300 to 200 megawatts. Have they told you that? Have they told the 40-some people who may have taken out loans because they're getting turbines? I know some people who are building new houses because they're getting turbines. And now they're not? This says they're not. There's a reduction. That is an economic disaster for this county when they come in and they promise and people make plans. When I was dealing with this in the oil field, Chesapeake Oil and North Dakota did that. North Dakota ran them out of the state because people planned on that money. They had contracts they were being told. In fact, I think in October, is that when we had our depositions?
I think so.
There was just a landowner meeting and there were landowners professing that that was still going to happen. So, I don't know what you guys want to do with that, but I'm just sitting here going, I'm amazed at all these votes tonight. I'm stunned. Because the next guy that comes in and asks for a 2-car garage in a place that's not supposed to be, and your planning and zoning officer walks out there and it's a mega shop, what are you going to do? I think you've just given away the baby with the bathwater tonight. You have set a precedence here. So I ask that you revoke that permit. This project does not look anything like they presented. Not at all. They put up 18 turbines out of 67. The economic development was not there. And that was a major discussion that night.
Explain the interconnection queue process that's involved here.
Okay. Before I get into the interconnection queue process here, I just want to comment on the statement that we came in here proposing a larger project than we actually had intended to build to inflate the proposed tax benefits. We have spent money, capital, to try to develop 600 megawatts across 3 counties. We built a 34-mile transmission line to accommodate 600 megawatts of development. We purchased the development rights from another developer in this county who had a permit but could not secure a power purchase agreement, which we had, that supported 600 megawatts of development in these counties. It is a sad story that we can't get as many turbines at this point in time in Grant County that we wanted to, and that was some of the discussions I had with that developer was, he said, we got a really good group of landowners who deserve a good project, like let's talk about this, and we did, and that's why we pursued with the Cattle Ridge project. We wouldn't have come back and spent all the time, money, and resources in front of you guys and at these planning meetings back and forth trying to get a project approved if we didn't even intend to build it. So that's completely false. But I do agree that it is sad that at this point in time we cannot build the project to the scale that we want to. To get into the interconnection world, yes, there is, in eastern South Dakota and in North Dakota, there is issues with the amount of available capacity that are on transmission lines. In this particular deal, there is 3 different interconnection requests. The last one was pending. We felt really confident about it, and something out of left field that was a triggered system, not even in this state, got put out there. And it's in capital. Spending the money is one thing, but operating limits is another. That's where you see turbines out there that aren't spinning because the grid can't take it. That's not what we're going to do. We're not going to put infrastructure out here that can't spin, which for the time being, yeah, you will see that until we can get the attachments installed on the blades. But that's a different story. But yeah, there is some things that you have to put yourself out there to try to get these projects to the scale. And the reason why we deferred it, instead of just completely said that we're not going to proceed with it, is because we're still trying to procure that amount of turbines and bring those into the county. We're not happy about it, but again, I mean, it's a situation that's in front of us right now. We have another interconnection queue position that's out there. We're going to get a line of sight on those interconnection studies, which are due, I believe, at the end of this quarter, where it'll give us another line of sight as to like when we could come online. The way that these projects are structured, it's not just our decision. As a developer, you want to build as much as you can. But you have somebody like Excel who is going to be paying for a project. They're paying for a 300 megawatt project. They expect to be able to run a 300 megawatt project. We're not going to build it and get paid for it if they can't sell the power for 300 megawatts. It just doesn't make sense. So we're doing everything that we can. We're still fighting for it. That's why we've preserved that in front of the PUC and explained that to them, that we'll keep them apprised on the next interconnection studies that come through, and we'll make a decision at that time.
So the problem is there isn't room on the line for power.
It's not just an individual line. It's an entire system, right? So if you put X amount of megawatts in this general area, and the way that electricity flows, it could overload a system in Michigan. So a lot of this stuff, when it comes up, it's not even something that you could forecast for. And that's what happened. It triggered something states away. And probably more information than necessary. But the way that it works is that for everybody who's coming online in a certain area, those interconnection costs will get shared amongst the parties, right? To bring all the generation on. When people saw that, they dropped out. They completely pulled out. Which made it economically infeasible for us to pay for everything. It would kill the entire project. We would have nothing. So we are getting back in the queue, we're taking another hack at it, and we're doing everything that we can to get the thing up and running. We wouldn't have did all the sound studies for 300 megawatts and went through all the setbacks and trying to get these things in here to get a compliant array if it wasn't necessary.
But you're still going to build the Crown Ridge too?
Yes, sir. Yeah, right now we have a line of sight on 200 megawatts in Crown Ridge 2, just like we had in Crown Ridge 1, and then like we built. There's an additional 100 megawatts in Crown Ridge 1 and Crown Ridge 2 that we would like to build, and that we are pursuing permits for in Crown Ridge 2.
So,
If I may, the only thing that I would add is that there is nothing in the permit or the ordinances or the statutes, again, that requires that the full 300 megawatts be built together or even at any point in time. That's part of the findings that your zoning officer made, and she's entirely correct in that you're not required to build the entire project that was permitted here.
Is it true that you don't have any profit or loss statements for the last 3 years?
For the Crown Ridge Wind LLC company?
Yeah.
That's correct.
I guess how can this be? I mean, you've got to know if you're making any money or you're losing money.
So the entity that we were supporting on here, right? It's a subsidiary of our parent company. We're strictly deploying capital to build projects and get a return on our investment. That's what we're doing. We don't have a P&L statement for Crown Ridge Wind LLC. We're a subsidiary of a larger company, and that's just the way that's structured.
I got a question. On the first model with your original model of turbines, who actually developed or set up that model? Was that done by you, or is that something that you purchased from somebody else? Did you?
So I could better understand, when you say model, you're talking about the turbine design or like the layout?
The layout, the original site of towers, was that done originally by you? First model that was given, was that done by you? Or was that done by somebody else and you engineered?
So we've been developing this project for 10 years. We've had multiple iterations in what you're calling models or a turbine array over time as turbines have gotten bigger and there's different technologies. A good example is even with the Cattle Ridge project, they had a project that was permitted to have way more turbines than we could even fit in there. So yeah, we model all of our own turbine locations and our power flows and all of that. Yes, sir.
So you designed this in the very first place then?
No, sir, not 10 years ago where we started. No, but I played a big part in this. Yes, sir.
So, paying for the connection, the interconnection, was that NextEra paying for that, or was that Excel paying for that, or whose decision was it to drop the 100 megawatts?
The way that, I can't get into too much details, but on a high level, our commercial agreement says that both parties have to come to a mutual agreement. So, and that pertains both money spent, and then if you're spending that money, are you going to actually be able to operate what you paid for, right? Which is the other piece of it. So.
Any more comment, question?
The appropriate motion,
Christie, don't you get your rebuttal?
there's no rebuttal.
Can I ask Christie?
Unless you have a
We have a question.
If you have a question, you're Christie.
You have a question for me?
Yeah.
Okay.
In here, you said that they're buying up all the concrete, and the main streets and stuff in town are suffering because of that. That there's no concrete
It
available.
was actually in the newspaper that
Okay,
that
Yes,
concrete
am I
was.
wrong then that they had their own concrete company up there making concrete from the South Shore Road? But
I
call it
did
college.
see the batch plant, I did. But it was in the paper that downtown Main Street was being delayed because there was not the availability of concrete, whether it's, I don't know what it was, but it was out there that was the problem, and it was published in the paper, Grant County paper.
Yeah. Okay. But I guess I take it because they were, I know, had their own concrete plant up there making their own concrete.
I didn't see that,
stuff.
but, you know, they had to have supplies and things.
There is concrete powder that
Yeah.
they need to ship in.
Yeah. So I would guess it was the supplies.
Any more questions to either party?
Chair, the appropriate motion regarding complaint number 4 would be a motion to approve the appellant's charge that a substantial decrease in the number of towers to be constructed constitutes a new project not consistent with the conditional use permit for owning and operating a wind energy system previously granted. A yes vote would be in agreement with the appellant. A no vote would be in agreement with the zoning officer. Any questions?
Any more discussion or questions?
Make a motion.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Have a motion made and second. Last call for discussion. We will have a roll call.
McCullough.
No.
Weber.
No.
Spurs.
No.
Pulaski.
Yes.
Leddy.
No.
Adler.
No.
Mock.
No.
6 to 1.
1 to 6. 1 vote aye, 6 vote nays, the motion fails. Now, we can continue with the next agenda item, which is the Fulton.
Have we done the complaint 1 yet?
Mr. Zach,
Complaint 1 was addressed at the December meeting.
Oh.
Now I'm just sitting here, okay.
Has it?
Do it here.
Okay.
so, we're at the chance.
Is there anything open?
So now you have the number 11.
Anybody that signed up for public comment will now be provided with 5 minutes to address the board. The discussion, as long as it does not relate to the potential application, which is not here.
Just read the statement.
For example, the applicant or the public cannot comment on the application until the public hearing, or the topic of discussion does not relate, or request an appeal of a decision of the Board of Adjustment. What that means, if you disagree with one of our previous decisions, this is not the way to appeal those decisions. However, if you have an enforcement or potential violation complaint per ordinance, we will forward that to the zoning officer for investigation. Also, we are not obligated to engage in conversation regarding your public comments. The board may decide to place your comment on future notice meeting for discussion.
I have Linda Lindgren,
I'm going to pass.
Amber Christensen,
Good evening. I would like the board to consider making changes to the wind energy ordinance going forward, because now that the turbines are spinning, I am the guinea pig that lives in the project that can tell you infrasound is making a difference in my life already. Even though they've curtailed turbines, the infrasound reverberates inside my house. I have pressure in my head, I have pressure in my eyes, I have pressure in my ears, I have pressure on my chest. It's actually, the turbines are actually louder inside my house than outside my house. But in the ordinance, infrasound was never addressed. There's new information coming out on infrasound all the time. Mr. Letty, I recall at the hearings, you said, I want to know about here. I want to talk about what's here. Well, now we know what's here because it is affecting people in our community. So that's all I have to say is I think you should redo your ordinance, put it on the agenda.
Just so I don't, do you live in Grant County?
I live right on the line in Grant County.
So the answer is no. Is that
Oh,
right?
the answer's no.
Thank you.
Mailboxes.
Yep, my mailboxes. I'm affected by Grant County greatly.
Al Wilbush?
Oh, want to talk a little bit about last month's meeting? Okay.
Last month's meeting. Go
Okay.
ahead, sir.
After last month's meeting, you found out what was true and what was not true. Amber mailed you the proof. How can you act appropriately if you are not told the truth? Why would you believe anything the planning and zoning officer says after knowing what went on the last meeting? You know we did not get a fair hearing. Amber tried to do it, and last meeting it was not the truth. You let it slide and voted anyway. Now what do you plan to do about it? We received the planning and zoning officer's reply to our complaints on 12/9 after the Board of Adjustment meeting, dated 11/25. I was wanting to know what kind of shenanigans are going on here. She waited over 2 weeks to give us our determination of these complaints. And I asked why. Ask yourselves why. Christy and I have been stonewalled in our complaint slow walk from the very beginning. Why? She wasn't truthful at the last meeting. She wasn't truthful to our attorney. She wasn't truthful to the state's attorney. And I ask again, why? What's going on here that Christy and I don't know about? We deserve to have our questions answered and our concerns addressed tonight. What are you going to do about it? That's all I got.
Christie Logan?
I'm going to pass.
Okay. Does the staff have any more? Christoph, do you have any?
We have any more discussion here?
What's that we discuss?
Pardon me?
Do we have anything else to discuss here about this one? So, these comments.
Yeah, I think I do. I don't think I got a second. Did you mail out 2 letters to the board, or just the one?
One. You all got the same letter,
Okay.
Commissioners and Board of Adjustment.
Okay, because did that come out after the December?
The day after the
Good.
December meeting, when Bob asked the
Okay.
zoning officer if they had their building permits prior to building,
Okay.
and she said
Okay.
yes.
Yours went to the wrong address. Yeah, I got it. I got it. It came then, or you got a different.
We gave it to you.
Yeah. That's it. Okay, I'm good.
Is there any other suggestions, questions, proposals?
We need an executive session.
Commissioners next meeting. Number 13.
Yes.
We'll get that back in front of the 13th.
Next meeting is tentatively scheduled for February 10th.